Hey, to all the real estate professionals out there, I want to let you know the Buyer's Mind is sponsored by Homebridge Financial. Homebridge loan officers are experts in new home financing, and they bring sales ideas and strategies and market intelligence and programs that will help sell homes. To learn more about that, go to builder.homebridge.com. Homebridge Financial, home financing made easy. Let me ask you a question about your sales follow-up. Do you find it uncomfortable? Because most people do, but we can do something about it. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Buyer's Mind, where we take a closer look deep inside your customer's decision-making mechanism to reverse engineer the perfect sales presentation. Now, please welcome your host, Jeff Shore.
Welcome, everyone, once again to the Buyer's Mind. I am your host, Jeff Shore. This is the podcast where we really want to figure out what's going on in the minds of our customers. And right now, we're taking a little interlude here on some quick strike episodes where we're looking at how we can understand sales follow-up a little bit better. Now, this is near and dear to my heart. I just finished a book on the subject of sales follow-up and close the sale. And as we think about this concept, one of the things that we look at is the fact that for many salespeople, follow-up is uncomfortable. Now, look, maybe it's not uncomfortable for you, but I'm going to confess to you right now, follow-up is uncomfortable for me. It's not the thing that I like to do the most. There is this tendency that we have, sometimes called the yielder tendency. It is our tendency to yield to our desire for comfort and to try and find some easier way to go about it when we are uncomfortable. I have that yielding tendency. I'm able to handle the telephone, even though making telephone calls is not my first choice. I'm a face-to-face guy. Given my choice, I'd rather go face-to-face. But I can make phone calls like everybody else because my achievement drive trumps my yielder tendency. Yes, I have a desire to be comfortable, but I have a greater desire to win. I'm a very competitive person. I have a high achievement drive, and I just have to win. So then I look and I go, well, how do I do that? If it's time to make phone calls, I do face discomfort. And I wrote a whole book on this subject. It's called Be Bold and Win the Sale, about what we do in those sales moments when we find ourselves uncomfortable. And it's a question that I regularly get. How do I deal with my own discomfort? How do I deal with discomfort in the sales process? And I think that's a good question, but I think there's actually a better question to ask. And it's not how do I deal with my discomfort, but it is when do I deal with my discomfort? You see, we are emotional creatures and we are subject to the whims and directions of our own brain. Well, ask yourself this question about your brain. What is the number one job of your brain? And you know what it is? I think you probably know. You remember this from Psych 101. The number one job of your brain is to keep you alive. That's what the brain is designed to do, is to keep you alive. So here's the problem. When you face a discomfort, your brain is going to misinterpret that discomfort as a threat. We have this inflated threat sensitivity. Then what's going to happen? We're going to misinterpret it as a threat, and our brain is going to send us a message. What's the brain going to say? Run away. Run away. You want to get away from this. So then what will happen is that the brain will give you the instruction to run away, and then the brain is so kind, it'll even come up with a rationalization as to why you should run away. So now what's going to happen here is if I wait until I'm in a moment of discomfort, I'm probably going to bail out. I'm probably going to run away. So when I say it's not how do you deal with discomfort, it's when do you deal with discomfort? That's the real question. Because if I decide in advance how I will respond to discomfort, if I decide before I am facing the discomfort, then where will I make that decision? Will I make it out of the logical side of my brain or the emotional side of my brain? And I would argue that we'd make it out of the logical side of my brain. I'm making a logical decision so I can decide in advance how I'm going to respond when it's time to make my follow-up calls. So here's the suggestion that I want to make to you. First of all, in my opinion, you should be setting aside a specific time every single day, early in the day, to make your follow-up calls. The best way to do this is to make that decision early and to get your follow-up done early. You're still fresh, your buyer is still fresh, and it gives them the whole day to recontact you in the event that you get their voicemail or if you had to leave them an email message. So we want to do that early in the day. Now, let's suppose that you're looking and you're saying, okay, from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, that's when I'm doing my follow-up and my prospecting. That's when that's going to take place, from 10 to 11 every single day. Great. Here's my question. What happens before 10 o'clock? Because if I wait until 10 o'clock and then say, okay, well, now what am I going to do? It's much more difficult. I want to be in the mindset before I get to 10 o'clock. So here's the key. As you're scheduling the day before, as I'm scheduling the evening before my follow-up, that's when I want to make the decision as to how I'm going to respond when the voice says, you don't want to do this. I can make the decision to face that discomfort in advance so that by the time I get to 10 o'clock, I am ready to go. Now, there's one other thing you can do, and that is use the time from 9:55 to 10 o'clock to be absolutely ready. Do some jumping jacks, get the blood pumping a little bit, play Start Me Up by the Stones, or how about Call Me by Blondie? You want to make sure that you are in the right frame of mind in order to conquer that discomfort. Look, if you just sit around and wait until it's time to pick up the phone and then decide what you want to do, you're going to be a victim of your own desire for comfort. But if you decide in advance, then you can decide when to make the call. You can decide how successful you are going to be. You can decide your own attitude about follow-up. Conquer your discomfort. You can do it, and it'll all be for the best of your customer. Hey, by the way, before we wrap it up, I've got a new book coming out. It's titled Follow Up and Close the Sale. And in it, I'm going to share with you what you need to know for successful follow-up that's going to benefit you throughout your career. Follow Up and Close the Sale is available now. Just go to jeffshore.com/salesfollowup, and I promise you're going to fall in love with follow-up. Hey, thanks for listening to a Quick Strike episode of The Buyer's Mind. If you're enjoying the podcast, please think about posting it on social media. We would sure appreciate it. The podcast continues to grow through your help and your support. We appreciate it. So until next time, go out there and change someone's world.